Welcome to Budget Spike and Spike. Joining me, we have Dusk and Jig. Say hi.
Hello.
Yo.
So we'll go through all of the 8-team playoff matchups and then go through some of the most important awards. So the first matchup of the night is We the People versus Cyclists, the 1 seed going up against the 6 seed. What are your guys' thoughts?
Let's go ahead.
You can go first. All right, I'll go. Well, I mean, We the People first seed, Homie, who's good case for MVB and DBOS, which we'll talk about later. I mean, yeah, aka Anti-Re also up there for offensive ball this season. They got two of the better players this season. And then CYC also lost one of their players and their captain, Zeus. So,
Yeah, it's a tough loss
they're
for
kind of
them.
Mhm.
But
they're kind of all over the place. So I think it's WTP. I think it's their series to win.
Yeah, for sure. I think Naga is pretty good, but not like what Cyclist used to be. Um, We the People is like a really strong. They're really cohesive. Like they work together well, and I think they might go to fifth game, and then it might be over for Cyclist.
Yeah, I think 5 games is reasonable. These teams played week 2. We the People with the sweep, but very narrow games, 11-13, and then 8-9. So we'll see if those results translate. But yeah, I'd agree with you guys that
Yep.
it looks pretty over for Cyclists. They did play pretty well when my team played them last week. Their offense is pretty jukey and hard to tag, but when you have Homie on the other side, it's going to be pretty tough for the Cyclists to do very much.
Mhm.
For sure.
All right, the next matchup is all of our teams playing each other. The Manipulation Station versus Dolphin. So obviously we're all going to have bias here. I don't know. I think we have a chance if we play how we played in the first 3 weeks of the season. We got stuck with a pretty difficult schedule going up against the first seeded team, We the People, then the fourth seeded team, Master Boaters, and then the third seeded team, Bust a Pup. And we split all of them, so as your team is the only top 4 team we haven't played yet, I think we'll be able to continue that form that we had in the first 3 weeks and maybe even win the series. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you guys are definitely good contenders. I know Blackbird is like really good. I've seen a lot of clips. Jerry overall well rounded. Yeah, I think our team's pretty good as well. We're glad to see tonight how it goes.
Yeah, your team was steal it. I have 2 of your players on my minors team that if y'all were on the
Yeah,
team the whole season, we definitely would have made the playoffs. So knowing that is a little scary for me, but I still think it'll be a close series.
Yeah, I think it's either what you like you said, it's gonna be a close series, like 6 or 7, or it's just gonna be a sweep from us.
Yeah,
I I don't
that's
think there's a
possible.
scenario where you sweep. I don't think there's a scenario where you sweep, but I think there's a scenario where you win like a close game 6 or game 7 series, or we just win in 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's
mm.
definitely reasonable. Jig is just too good for the league. Should have drafted him minors off the start. But it is what it is. Okay, next matchup: Bust a Pup versus Incredibles. Pretty even matchup, but I think that Bust a Pup is just they've been on fire recently. Let's see, they split last week against your team, but they destroyed LBT in week 6. They destroyed Master Voters in week 5. They destroyed Green Eggs and Spam in week 4, but they're in last. So they're on fire right now, and although the Incredibles does have a pretty solid defense in Maradona and Sonder, I don't know. I just don't think they'll be able to slow down the Busted Up train. I'll call it 5 games here for Busted Up.
I know Sunder and Maradona are really good. Espel also, their whole team, but I don't think they're like the way they work well together. Like if they really pull it all together and focus out, I think they'll take them all the way to Game 7. Maybe a win, maybe a loss, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's gonna be like one way the whole game, the whole 7 games.
I don't know.
Yes, similar to our series, the Nip versus Dolphins. I think it's kind of like BAP is either gonna kind of destroy and just win in 4 or 5, or Incredibles could keep it close. Because I think Incredibles, they got a good squad, but like you look at BAP and then you look at like everyone on their team, they're all up there for like awards and defensive ball of the season, offensive ball of the season, MVP. They're all up there in gasp. They're all like, I think in terms of 4 players on a team, just individual players, they probably got some of the best players in the league. And I think that alone can help them just win this series and get them straight to the Foci 4.
Yeah, no one on their team has a positional gasp of under 9.5, which is pretty insane. These teams played each other in week 1, busted up, winning the first game 12-6, and then Incredibles getting the split, winning game 2 7-5. So we'll see what happens tonight, but I don't think it looks that good for the Incredibles. And then the final
Yeah.
matchup, which is probably going to be the closest one of the week, Master Voters versus Legends of the Splitting Temple. I mean, there's definitely a way for both teams to win. I just think that recently Legends of the Splitting Temple. I mean, maybe I'm overreacting to one scrim that we had on Sunday, but my team won most of the games that we scrimmed against them on Sunday, and I think that the Splitting Temple defense is a little too passive. Like neither of them are like insanely good at like getting solo returns. They're just both above average prevent players. Obviously, Anduin is also on my minors team, but it takes really good players to tag both Kool-Aid and Zion. So I think that LST will have some trouble keeping the flag in base, but I don't know. It still should be a pretty close series. I'll call it 6 games for Master Builders.
Yeah, we struggled with LSD when we played them a few weeks back. Anduin and Catalyst, really good defense. But against like Zion, who I have played with a lot, he's really good. Can get out easily. I think they're gonna have a lot of trouble with that, especially with their offense.
Yep. I do agree that the LSD defense, they're like sneaky good, where you don't expect them to, keep things in base and be pretty solid, but they are a pretty good group, good defensive partnership. But ultimately, I think this is the defense versus the offense. So I think MB8's offense is gonna be better than LST's defense, and then I think MB8's defense and then LST's offense are kind of similar, but I think MB8 still kind of edges out a little bit. So I think just because like Kool-Aid and Zion, I think they're going to be getting out pretty easily. Not too difficult for them to be getting out is why I think they're probably going to win the series in 5 or 6.
Yeah, I gotta agree. That will definitely be an issue, and LST not very strong momentum, having lost to the last place team, Green Eggs and Spam, on the second game of last week. So we'll see if they can return to their mid-season form, but it just seems like Master Motors is a better team overall. I guess so. All right, let's move on to awards. We'll start with MVP. So first place, I have Jig here because I think that it's really either Jig, Homie, and Anduin are by far the top three for me, and I think that when you look at relative value and incorporating how well the team did, I think that without Jig, then the manipulation station is definitely not in second place. I'd say they drop out maybe even out of the top four if they have, I don't know, some other mid A tier offender. And when you look at Jig's all around stats, you see his returns, you see his returns for an offender is pretty insane for him, and obviously he's right at the top of the Holden Caps leaderboard. So that's my case for Jig for MVP.
I know I would want to say me for MVP as well, but I know Homie has been putting up insane numbers all around, with him being first place in all stats. I think something like that, something crazy like that. I would happily take second, but I don't know who I would want for third place, honestly. But I think Homie takes first for MVP this season.
Yeah, I was tempted to go with Homie, but I think that I think you can't really say that he is the most valuable because that team also relies a lot on his brother, yeah, slash 420 slash anti-re. So that I would struggle to say that one of them is clearly the most valuable, but just if you would consider most valuable ball to be best player talent wise, I'd say Homie gets it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of tied for first between Jig and Homie because while Anti is first in caps, I think a lot of those caps are coming just because Homie's so good at keeping the flag in base and getting so many returns. But I do think first and second, it's pretty interchangeable between Jig and Homie. But third place, I know you mentioned Anduin. I think that's a sneaky good pick, but I'd probably have to go with Kool-Aid because I think similar to how you mentioned, you don't think our team would be in like the top four without Jig. I think similarly, I think Master Voters is probably they're probably like seventh, eighth seed
Yeah,
team, maybe not even in the playoffs without Kool-Aid. So I'd probably have to give third place to him.
that's definitely fair. All right, on to offensive ball of the season. I vouch my balls first here. He has insane numbers as well as all the other contenders. His team obviously in third place, but I think that because his partner Dank Juker has been having lag issues all season, he's been having to do a lot of the more mechanical work as grabbing and holding and all of that stuff. He was definitely really difficult for me to play when we played that team in week 3. I'd put Jig up here, but obviously you don't want to give MVB and Obos to the same guy. So because of that, I'd put Ouch My Balls in first, and then probably 420 slash anti slash yeah for second, just for all of the numbers he's put up. He's been a pretty unstoppable solo force with a below average partner. Although I do have to say that I've been impressed by how Circle Jerk and Rig has done on that team. I thought they'd be way more of a liability overall than they have been, so shout out to them.
For my picks, if I had to not choose, like if OBOS and MVP can't be the same person, so I can't pick Jig, then I would probably pick Ouch My Balls as well. I think he's had a real good season. I drafted him last season. I know how good he is, so I'm happy to see him do well. But special shoutouts, though, I think Kool-Aid's up there. Obviously, Anti-Re's up there. I think it's kind of if I don't want to put Jig in there because let's just say hypothetically he wins MVP, then it's kind of a toss up between those three. But I think Ouch My Balls and Anti-Re are probably top two for OBOS. It's kind of interchangeable for them.
I definitely agree. I think Kool-Aid has been doing amazing, like, in all leagues. I know he got called up as well. I think OMB should also win offensive ball if I get any spot in MVP. But I think it's definitely closer to Kool-Aid, who has been doing amazing as well.
Yeah. All right. Defensive ball of the season. Since I don't have Homie for MVP first place, I think he's pretty clearly the winner of this. Just obviously the best mechanical defender in the league. The stats don't lie. The eye test doesn't lie. But for second place, I'd probably put Anduin. He's been really key to the success of his team. Obviously on my minors team as well. So maybe I have some bias there, but I think that those two deserve the top two spots for sure.
I would want to give first place to Slime because he's really been improving recently, like the past few weeks, along with JJ. And even Maradona for third place. I know they're low on the standings, but I think that's just like team issues. Like I think if they get together, like focus out, they'll be doing better. But yeah, I think Slanga should get first for defensive ball.
Bold prediction. Wow. Putting him over your own
Yeah.
minors teammate. Interesting.
I think even if Homie was to win MVP here, I think he honestly should win DBOS as well. I think he's like, if you just look at the return numbers, he has 80 more than second place. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But if I had to not choose Homie, I think Anthem and Yon, they've both have been like a solid partnership. I think they're both keeping the flag in base. Yon's honestly a bot sometimes with his solos, and they're like their top team. So I think I'd probably honestly give top three to those three people.
Fair. All right.
Mhm.
Rookie of the season. I think it's pretty clearly Jig for first place. Too good all around. Second place team. I couldn't see an argument to him for not winning it. Second place. Ouch My Balls is pretty clearly the second place guy also here. And then third place, I think it's either Yawn or NC Meme. I don't really know that much about which one in specific is better out of that defense, but I put Yawn on my form just because he's been called up to minors, and I think that honestly I don't even know, but I think he's just been a little better, but no arguments.
Yeah, I would also put Jan up there. OMB definitely deserves a spot. I think Dank Juker, even, who's been doing good alongside Ultra Bolos, should definitely be top three.
There were a lot of rookies this season, and like most of them were on two teams. So, but I think at the end of the day, I probably got to give it to Jig because I mean, if he wins MVP, I mean, you can't argue they shouldn't win rookie of the season.
Yeah.
But for the other two, I do think Ouch My Balls definitely deserves second. And I know you were talking about between Enthemium and Yon. I think I'd probably choose Jan just because he's like a competitive NALTP rookie. So it's just a little more impressive that he just comes in, new player, and then gets called up to minors. So gotta give it to him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mhm.
All right. Best value, I think Kool-Aid for 0 coins is pretty clearly the winner here. He's been insane. Definitely a top 4 offender. Second place, I've Yawn, who went for, I don't know, like 25 or something. Half of the captains had no idea who he was, including me, so. But looking back at it, he obviously 25 was way too cheap for him. Should have gone for, I don't know, at least 40, maybe even higher. Third place, I'm going to give third place to Zion. I think Zion has been not very hyped up because Kool-Aid gets all of the attention, but I mean, look at what Zion did in minors last week, absolutely carrying Jig. Just kidding, but he had a great week in minors last week, and he also went for 0 coins to the Master Boaters team, and I think he's just done too much for that team for him not to place in best value.
Yeah, the Master Builders duo should definitely be top 2. And no, Zion is amazing. Kool-Aid for 0 is honestly mind blowing. He's been doing great. So yeah, I don't know who I would put for third, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kool-Aid's kind of the number one choice here. I know in the draft plans, I definitely thought about going for him if I didn't get any of the players I did get. And, obviously would have been a good pickup if we did get him. But special shout out, though, to Slime God. 9 TCs, I think he was, and he ended up finishing second on the prevent leaderboard. So I definitely put him in the top 3 for best valued because I think someone who does that well on prevent is on like the second place team for only 9 TCs. I think it's pretty good value. And honestly, I don't really know for a third person. I know you mentioned Jan. I think Jan's probably should be up there too. I think he was for like 21. I think the only other person who voted or who was nomming, or sorry, not nomming, bidding him. I know I bid him up a little bit. I don't know if anyone else did. So he's definitely he's definitely worth more than 21 TCs.
Yeah. All right.
Mhm.
On to well-rounded. Jig for first place seems the obvious choice. I mean, he was on the leaderboard for returns for most of the season, which is insane as an offender in the 12-team season. And I think Jig is just way too good at. He'd be an above average A-team defender if he played that position full time. So I think he's the pretty clear runaway for well-rounded ball here. Not really that many other options that I like. On my form, I put Adarsh for second place, partly because he's my teammate, but also as I unintentionally forced him to defense after filling up my roster slot with no defender that could make East Coast times. I think he's done a pretty good job on defense for an O ball, and also obviously he's been pretty solid at going O and holding or grabbing or whatever the case may be when our team needs it. So I think
Yeah,
he gets second because there's not really that many other options, to be fair, besides Jig.
I agree with the active call. This is like the only award I would really want to get. Like, I think I deserve this award more than anyone. But like, I wouldn't really know who else could be alongside me for this award.
Yeah, looking at the
Yeah.
nominees.
Definitely. Sorry. Uh, you can go ahead.
Yeah, the nominees are just people who really only played. I mean, I guess you could make a case for Helen Keller since they had him on offense and they moved into defense. He has pretty solid stats in both positions, but yeah, all the other nominees are really just one-way balls. I think I would say so. Pretty weak season for well-rounded besides Jig.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is pretty clearly Jake's award, at least for first place. But I think you guys might have forgot about this guy though, Anduin. He's been 25 caps this season on defense. Ain't too shabby. So I mean, I think he honestly is probably the biggest challenger for Jake for well rounded. But I think Jake still gets first, and as a result, I give Anduin second, and then Adarsh probably. I think because he did play a little bit of both defense and offense. So I think that probably gets him third for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to best streamer. It's a close contest between Hjalpa and Bald Eagle for quality of stream. I deliberated over this for a while. I ended up giving Bald Eagle first place because I think that his overall his overall setup with the music and the commentary and the scores of the other games on the top bar, it just seems so professional and so well done. But Hjalpa is obviously the second place winner here, and
Yeah, if I could give a yeah,
go on.
if I could give a first place tie, I'd definitely go Hajapa and Bald Eagle. They've both been putting on their roles. Like, definitely wanting to stream, the love of streaming these games for us. Like, both amazing quality. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of production quality, those two definitely top of like in Tag Pro in general. Like their streams are just so good production quality. I like little things that Bald Eagle adds. Like I like yeah, like when people cap, he has like a little horn that goes off. I like little things like that. He just focuses on, and it makes the whole experience for like the viewers better. Same with Yelpa with his like commercials. I think the commercials are sometimes the funniest thing in the world because sometimes they're just so weird, but so like good. So I think ideally those two tie for first, but special shoutouts to my team streamers this season, two of them, because they both streamed every game. Griff and I Love HD did the A team games. I think all of them. Maybe a couple where some other A teamer took it, but I'm pretty sure Griff did all the B team games, maybe except for like one. So I think I'd love to see one of them, or maybe even both of them, place in the awards for best streamer.
All right. And then final award we're going to talk about is the Heart Award. The usual contenders: Slob, Vic, Ice Plat. First place has to go to Ice Plat here. I mean, I'm obviously the guy who drafted him, so I know more about what he's done than most of the league. But Ice Plat's just been such a good guy this season. He always has motivational posts for us for a lot of our games. He always tries to show up, although he has a lot of stuff going on in his real life for him that means that he didn't have as much time as usual to be with our team. But I think that he's been by far the kindest guy in the league this season, the most supportive. So I think anyone else besides him getting the award is a scam.
I also want to give it to Ice. I played with him last season. Really wholesome guy. He wants to see everyone improve. He's wanting to improve himself. Um, like even just personal issues he'll want to help you with, like all around, even outside Tag Pro. He's a nice guy. So yeah.
I love my guy Vic, but I think 3 times. I think that's good enough. I think he's got to take a break for a little bit, give the heart award to someone else. So I would personally, I like the Ice Platypus pick. I've talked to him a couple times, and he's just a nice guy in general. I think no one really has a bad thing to say about him. So I wouldn't be mad at all if he was to win it, but I want to give a special shout out to Zumi. I think Zumi is just hilarious, nice guy. I mean, if you listen, I think people were listening to the Nooper last season. His commentary, just one of the goat commentators, and I think he's a nice guy. I'd love to see him win this.
Yeah, that's a fair shout also. All right, that is gonna do it. Thanks, Dusk and Jig, for joining me with this episode of The Replacement, Spike and Spike. And yeah, that's it. See ya.